Well, we are now officially 3 weeks away from Captain America Civil War. Or 2 weeks if you live in a country that isn't the United States for some reason. Now, if you're interested in this movie, you may be tempted to actually read the Civil War comic that Marvel put out in 2006. Or if you've already read that, you might be getting hyped for the upcoming sequel they're going to put out in June. But here's the thing, Civil War isn't like a regular comic series. It's an event series. And unfortunately, that comes with its own set of rules on how to read it. When it comes to ongoing superhero comics, pretty much the biggest characters of a certain publisher get their own ongoing. Spider-Man has his own ongoing, Captain America does, Iron Man, on and on and on and on. There are team-up books like the Avengers or Justice League at DC, where the solo characters all have one big get-together, but those aren't really all that special. They come out monthly, and the threats they usually fight really aren't that huge. Event comics, on the other hand, are. These only come out once a year, last between 6 and 12 issues, and are hyped as being very big and important. New threats are introduced that usually require every character on the company's roster to get involved. These are usually threats from like out of space, from the future, from another dimension, real out there stuff. New characters get introduced, old characters die, but no matter what, the event shapes the landscape of the entire universe for years to come. Or at least until the next event book comes out. Now you may be thinking, what's so complicated about that? It sounds like a regular old comic book, just in miniseries format. You should be able to just pick it up and read it, right? Well, yeah, you'd think that, but it's not. See, here's the thing about modern event comics. They're not so much a crossover of characters anymore, as much as they are a crossover of everything. Let me explain. If you were to ask Marvel, they'd say that Civil War was a 7-issue miniseries released in 2006, written by Mark Millar and illustrated by Steve McNiven. And they're not wrong, but they're also not mentioning all the various spin-off series like Frontlines, Choosing Sides, Chronicles, a special X-Men series. These are all separate miniseries that tie into the overall Civil War story. And each of these miniseries runs a couple issues themselves. And that's not even mentioning any currently ongoing titles that have characters deeply invested in Civil War, like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Cap and Iron Man, obviously. And the worst part about it is sometimes these tie-ins and spin-offs could be very essential to understanding what's going on in the main series. And not only that, but sometimes the reading order can be really out of hand. You could be reading Civil War, but then next you'll have to read Spider-Man, then Choosing Sides, then back to Spider-Man, then Frontline, and then finally the next issue of Civil War. When all's said and done, there are close to 100 issues that tell the complete Civil War story. And trying to read it without knowing where to start or what order to go in can wind up being a disaster. So, how do you read event comics? How do you handle such a Herculean task? Well, for example, let's take a look at the upcoming Civil War 2. As you can see, there's more than just the main 8-issue miniseries titled Civil War 2. Now, assuming you're going to pick this up monthly, you're definitely going to want to pick up the main series, and that's about it. I know I just made a big deal about tie-ins and spin-offs and how sometimes they're necessary, but they're really not. You can just skip by them and usually they'll fill you in a sentence or two in the main series. Plus, the tie-ins and spin-offs are usually pretty bad. Like, legit bad. If you want to read a tie-in issue, then I'd say only read it if you're actually following that ongoing regularly. If you are currently reading Ms. Marvel, yeah, go ahead, pick up her tie-in issue. If you're not reading Nova, don't pick up his tie-in issue. If you hear by chance that a particular spin-off or tie-in is good, like let's say Civil War 2 Gods of War is good, then go back and pick it up. Otherwise, don't waste your time. And don't worry too much about reading order. It really doesn't matter all that much, and you can pretty much figure it out as you go along. All that said, if you want my honest opinion on how to read an event, just trade wait. Wait for the trade paperback or the collected edition of the miniseries to be completed and then released. Chances are, these are meant to be read as a single format anyway, not month to month. Plus, by then you'll be able to find reading guides, whether fan-made or official, that tell you what to read and when. So if you really want to read a tie-in or a spin-off, then you'll know exactly where to read it and not lose any momentum. But like I said, not really important. I was able to get through the Blackest Night miniseries by itself without reading any of the myriad of tie-ins and spin-offs. Look, comics are already unfortunately hard enough to get into, and event comics make things look that much more daunting for new readers. But they're not, and you shouldn't feel afraid or pressured by publishers to read everything. With all types of comics, it's best just to go in having a little bit of basic knowledge that you already have from movies or cartoons or whatever, and if you need catching up, then go at your own pace. Or, and this is a crazy thought, but don't read event comics. Most of the time, they're nonsensical messes made by too many cooks that wind up not telling a good story that doesn't really have lasting impact, and they just waste everybody's time and money, especially Marvel's. So that's my little video on how to read event comics. Talk to me down below or anywhere on the internet how you read event comics. Do you read everything or just the main miniseries? Or do you like to pick and choose certain tie-ins and spin-offs to read as well? What are some of your favorite comic book events? I tend to like the ones that focus on one particular hero, like Nightfall, Sinestro Corps War, Spider Island, Cityfall. Those don't get too cumbersome and convoluted. They just stay within one title and its immediate cast. That's not to say I don't like the bigger events like Infinite Crisis and Forever Evil, but I just find the smaller character-specific ones that much better. Usually. As always, guys, like if you like, subscribe if you really like, share this video with a friend. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.
We know it's going to be a major crossover event that's going to involve every Marvel character ever and have dire consequences that result in a reboot of the entire Marvel Universe. But other than that, I'm totally confused by the whole thing. Just what the hell is Secret Wars anyway?
Now, Remender and Opeña's Uncanny X-Force debuted in 2010 and continued this tradition, but with a couple of new twists. For one thing, Cyclops disbanded X-Force, but Wolverine and Angel decided to keep it going to carry out more dangerous and more morally questionable missions